The Human Self and Iblees. Translation of Iblees O Adam. Translated and edited. Dr. Ajaz Rasool, UK. The Quranic Concept of Satan and Perspective on Human Desires, Emotions, Intellect and Wahi. Author. Ghulam Ahmad Parwez. About the author. Ghulam Ahmad Parwez was born in Batala, Punjab, in British India on the 9th of July 1903 into a profoundly religious family. His grandfather, who was deeply religious and belonged to the Hanafi school of thought, was a renowned religious scholar who intended to make the author inherit his knowledge and religious understanding. As a consequence, his education and training were carried out under the direction of his grandfather. While he studied the traditional religious teachings, he also had the desire and inkling to question its content using his intellect and reasoning. This led to his inner conflict with the external religious environment, and he continued to question the prevalent religious concepts and practices. He noticed that whatever was being taught as part of the religion was being referred to some imam or religious scholar for authority. It was also noted in the religious literature that whatever the forefathers had followed should be obeyed without any question, and this was considered to be a requirement of Islam. For Parwez, this did not satisfy his desire to seek reason and logic in every claim and statement made within the religious literature. However, he could not express these doubts and reservations initially due to his respect for his grandfather, and the constraints of the religious environment which prevailed at the time in his town. Later, due to his employment, he moved to Lahore, now part of Pakistan, and found a degree of freedom to question some of these religious concepts and beliefs. After the death of his grandfather, he found complete freedom to pursue his line of inquiry and research into the prevalent Islamic beliefs, doctrines, ideologies, and religious practices. This led to his discovering that most of these have been acquired from others. He tried to study the Quran using the traditional religious approach but was unable to find the answers to all his doubts, which required satisfaction from a logical point of view. He also studied the life of the last messenger and the establishment of the Islamic State in the 7th century in his quest to determine the cause which contributed to this greatest revolution. Based on the Quran, he especially paid attention to the statement from the last messenger, "The Quran is not a product of my thinking or that of any other human being, and that this is the message from Allah." He soon learned the procedure to understand the Quran through his contact with the famous philosopher and poet Allama Iqbal, who had a deep interest in the Quran. Parwez concluded that to understand the Quran one has to understand three fundamentally important points. 1. The Quran calls itself light, Nur, and light does not need any external source or aid to make itself visible. It makes itself evident and also exposes the reality of those things which are within its domain. 2. The Quran is revealed in the Arabic language, and to understand it correctly one needs to understand the Arabic context which was prevalent at the time of its revelation. 3. The Quran has guided us by saying that through tasrif al-ayat, through cross-reference within the verses of the Quran, it makes its guidance clear. E.g. c. 6, 106. In order to meet the second requirement regarding the precise meaning of the Arabic words in the Quran, he researched and compiled a Ligat al-Quran, now translated into English, which is a dictionary of all the words and terms used in the Quran and which includes the meanings which were prevalent among the Arabs at the time of the Quranic revelation. For the third requirement of tasrif al-ayat, the Quran is different from books written by human beings, where the latter are usually divided based on various subjects. The Quran is based on mentioning a reality in one verse or verses, and then its further explanation is noted in another place or places. For example, in Surah In'am the Quran states, Thus do we explain the signs by various verses, so that they may say, you have explained them, and then we make the Quran matter clear for a people, those who know. 6. 105. In order to meet this requirement, Parwez felt the need to compile all the verses under one subject as referred in various verses of the Quran, and he compiled a book in Urdu titled Tabweeb al-Quran i.e. Classification of the Quran. This made it easy to refer to various subjects and look at all the verses mentioned in the Quran relating to a subject. Along with writing and producing literature on the Quran, Parwez also held a regular weekly meeting in Lahore to deliver a Dars lecture explaining the Quran in Urdu, and these are also available in audio and video recordings. He dedicated most of his life to researching the Quran and its significance in relation to presenting an alternative solution to human problems, and answering questions relating to human creation, its purpose, and the question of death and the next life. He also participated in the struggle for independence during the period 1938 to 1947 and the creation of Pakistan, which was based on the ideology of the Quran, with a view to establishing an Islamic state for the Muslims of the subcontinent. He worked very closely with the founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Quaid-e-Azam or Great Leader, and had regular discussions with him on various aspects of the message of the Quran, in order to support the movement for a separate state for the Muslims of India and to counter the arguments put forward by some of the religious lobby who opposed the creation of Pakistan. He published a monthly journal called Tolui-Islam, Dawn of Islam, commencing in 1938. Parwez had reached this conclusion in the light of the Quranic guidance that the system of deen needs an area of land on the face of the earth to model a state based on the permanent values of the Quran. Those benefits which are exclusively the outcome of the values of the system of deen can never be accrued by an amalgamation of man-made laws and Quranic laws. For this system to be established, it requires a group of individuals who firstly acquire the Iman which the Quran has presented, and then can plan and establish an Islamic state based on this. Pakistan was created specifically to achieve this aim. However, since the subsequent leadership had no interest in the Quranic deen, that dream remained unfulfilled. Parwez never gave up on this ideal and continued to raise his voice after the creation of Pakistan and was, more or less, in contact with every ruler in the country to whom he emphasized this point. He continued his literary efforts also and published his writings both as books as well as articles in the Journal of Tolui-Islam, which is published monthly. All his interpretations of the Quran are based on this premise that the human intellect needs the light of the revelation to enhance its sphere of understanding in order to live this earthly life successfully and then be able to evolve further at self's level for further development. He was emphatic in his conclusion from the Quran that since human intellect works within the sphere of its emotions and desires, without the system of deen, human life on this planet will remain marred by conflicts, divisions, injustice, exploitation and chaos. Parwez joined the Indian Civil Service in the Home Department in 1927. And after the creation of Pakistan he migrated to Karachi and continued to serve in the same department till 1955. When he took early retirement and devoted the rest of his life fully to his work on the Quran. He moved to Lahore from Karachi and settled there. He left this life on the 24th of February 1985 in Lahore and his body was laid to rest in Lahore. Foreword. The purpose and desire of my life is to understand the Quran and to try and help to explain it to others according to my own comprehension. As far as comprehending it is concerned, it can be said without exaggeration that I have spent my whole lifetime in this pursuit. This book is without a doubt a miracle, so small in size, but from the aspect of realities and perceptions an ocean without any created boundaries. The more you continue to advance in it, the further away the horizon retreats before you. One of its distinctions is that its style of expression is different from that of human texts. The style of human texts is that a book is about one specific subject. Then it is divided into different chapters, and whichever topic the chapter is about is fully covered within it. In this way, when the reader of this book moves forward chapter after chapter, the meaning of the book continues to become understood. And when he finishes the book, its substance transfers into his mind in a formulated shape. But the style of the Quran is different from this. It does not describe a subject continuously in its entirety at one place. It states something at one place, adds to it at a second place, and at a third place an exception to it appears. At some other place yet more details are given about it. A passing reference is made to it in connection with some other matter, and as a consequence another aspect of it becomes clarified before us. This style of expression is called tasrif-e-ayat in Quranic terminology, i.e., to keep elaborating further on the meaning through repeated bringing back of verses. This is not the place for elaboration of how comprehensive and profoundly eloquent this style of the Quran is. At this point all I will say is that its style is quite different from the style of common human texts. It is therefore obvious that in order to fully understand the way in which the Quran has presented its teaching, this much understanding of the Quran is necessary, that whatever topic appears before you, all other places in the Quran about it should be in front of you. But it is obvious that whenever the desire to learn the Quran is born in a beginner, he can neither attain this grasp at the outset, nor can he be told to first of all attain this degree of understanding, and only then will you be able to understand its message. This was that hurdle, as a result of which often those people in whose hearts the motivation for learning the Quran was very intense, would kiss it and step back. When I appreciated this difficulty of theirs, I saw no solution to it other than that I should myself present the teachings of the Quran to them in the way in which they habitually read ordinary texts. For this purpose, I started a series of writings which I called Ma'arif al-Quran, Introducing the Quran. The first volume in this series, which was titled Allah, was first published in 1941 and was extremely well received. Opening parenthesis. It was later proposed that it be called Mano Yazdan. The topic of the second link of this illuminating series was Iblees o Adam, which was published in 1945. Its second edition was published in 1954, and the third edition is now presented before you. After this, the following books in this series were published. 1. Ju-e-Noor, Stream of Light. In this are described the glittering details of the revolutionary messengers from Noah to Shoaib and the lesson-filled tales of their nations. 2. Bar-ki-Tor, Lightning on Tor. The struggle between Moses, the holder of the rod who spoke with Allah, and Pharaoh, and the fact-based account of the rise and fall of Bani Israel. 3. Shola-e-Mastor, Hidden Flame. Details of the life of Jesus in the light of modern historical discoveries. 4. Miraj-e-Insaniyat, Eminence of Humanity. The pure character and conduct of the life of the communicator of the lofty Quran in the light of the Quran itself. 5. Insan ne kiya socha, What did man think? The efforts that human intellect made in trying to solve important problems of life without the guidance of Wahi, the divine revelation, and how it remained unsuccessful. 6. Khuda ne kiya kaha, What did Allah say? I.e., Islam kiya hai, and then how these problems were solved beautifully by Wahi. 7. Jahan-e-Fada, the Quranic descriptions about the life after death. 8. Kitab al-Taqdir, the Book of Destiny, the easiest Quranic solution to the most difficult problem of human history. Aside from these, I compiled the Ligat al-Quran, Dictionary of the Quran, which has been published in 4 voluminous texts and in the light of which the successive meanings of the whole of the Quran, from Al-Ham to War Nas, has been covered in the Mafhum al-Quran, exposition of the Holy Quran. This is a brief introduction to my small efforts in relation to making the meaning of the Quran comprehensible. For the last few years, I am currently engaged in compiling the Tabweeb al-Quran. In this encyclopedia, the whole teaching of the Quran will be compiled in such a way that all the places in the Quran about whichever topic you desire will appear concisely in one place. This work seems somewhat endless and I do not know when it will be completed. Wa ma tawfiqi illa billahil aliyyil azim. The former editions of the first 5 books in the series of Ma'arif al-Quran have been out of print even though demands from the readers for them were continually pouring in. But because fresh books of mine were meanwhile being published continuously, it was perhaps because of this that their latest editions could not be quickly printed. Now I am hopeful that all of these books will be printed one after the other. In the book under view, some very important and fundamental topics have been covered which were a cause for much confusion due to their correct meaning not being before us. This book has remedied these confusions, shortcomings and complexities in a visionary style. Valhamdulillah zalik. Praise be to Allah for this. Whatever has been said in this book about those topics about which discussions have been carried out in this book, in it and regarding them you will find differences at many places between them and the concepts and beliefs, rather ideologies, which are generally prevalent among us. Whatever I have written is Quranic teaching according to my comprehension. If you agree with this, then that is great. And if you have a disagreement with this, then you can follow whatever you consider to be correct. I do not consider my comprehension of the Quran to be the last word, nor free of error or mistake. The aim of my whole pursuit and endeavor is for the educated faction of the nation to be nourished from this fountainhead of life, the Quran, which is the sole source of success and felicity for the field of humanity. If, as a result of this effort of mine, even one soul seeking guidance comes close to this spring of life, then I would feel that I have received the fruit of my endeavor. For the verses, the number of the surah, chapter, appears first and then the number of the verse, ayat. For example, 3:12 means Surah Al-Imran, verse 12. Now turn the first page and descend with me into these valleys of realities which the universal light of the Quran is making so bright and dazzling. G.A. Parwez, July 1972. 25B. Gulberg, Lahore, Pakistan. Editorial note. This book is a translation of the Urdu book, Iblees o Adam by G.A. Parwez. The literal translation is Iblees and man or Iblees and Adam. However, since the purpose of human creation is to provide an opportunity for man to develop his self, therefore the title has been translated more aptly as the human self and Iblees. As discussed in this book, Allah and God are not interchangeable terms, therefore wherever the God of the Quran is referred to by the author, the term Allah is used to differentiate between the two. Similarly, the author has used the term deen as noted in the Quran rather than the term religion, since deen refers to a complete system of life in its own right. Hence, the word religion has not been used in this book when referring to the Islam of the Quran. The numbering of the verses is in line with the translation of the Quran by Abdullah Yusuf Ali. The term Rasulullah refers to the last messenger of Allah, Muhammad, peace be upon him. The term Nabi is used to represent the status of a messenger of Allah as a recipient of wahi, revelation. from the direction of Allah. The term Rasul is used as the messenger of Allah, while the term Nabuwat is used to represent Risalat, i.e., messengerhood. This book discusses a number of questions which arise in the human mind in the light of the Quran. The Quran has made references to the creation and appearance of man as Adam on the world stage, and together with this, it has referred to the appearance of Iblees and Shaitan as two metaphorical entities who appear to stand in opposition to man. The author has examined these three terms incisively, i.e., Adam, Iblees and Shaitan, in order to display their importance in both our conceptual and practical life in this world. By virtue of possessing choice and intent, human beings have changed the face of the earth. We desire to obtain knowledge regarding the purpose of our creation and life and how it was that we arrived in this world at the beginning. The theory of evolution only provides some clues and the likely pattern regarding the physical process, but it does not answer the question of the beginning from nothing and the subsequent acquisition of consciousness and freedom to make choices in life. It also does not shed light on whose was the guiding hand behind this process of evolution. We also hanker for knowledge about our physical death and whether there is another life beyond this demise. Parwez spent a large portion of his life seeking answers from the Quran to many of these questions, and also carried out an extensive study of various kinds of literature on history, philosophy, psychology, various religions, etc., in order to ascertain the extent to which human thinking has developed up to the modern age. It is doubtful if any other modern scholar of the Quran has probed those aspects which Parwez has explored with a view to finding solutions to human dilemmas. His books have scrutinized virtually every aspect of human life in an effort to inform us that it is the Quran alone which holds the key to the establishment of the system of Deen. And it is only through that system of Deen that man can live both a life of paradise in this world, and then as his right, move onwards to the next life after death to be part of a further evolutionary process. A great future awaits man, but only for those who create a new life within themselves in this physical world through following the guidance of the Quran, and this is all within the easy grasp of man. The Quran's addressee is the human mind, i.e., the faculties of intellect and reasoning and the capability of metacognition, which is available exclusively to man in order to carry out the purpose of human creation. The Quran presents man as an important creation who is at the heart of the universe, and for whom the visible universe owes its existence. It states, Allah created the heavens and the earth for just ends, and in order that each self may find the recompense of what it has earned, and none of them be treated unjustly. Opening parenthesis. 22:45. Though as human beings we are free to make our own choices, each one of these choices has consequences attached, and this law works in the physical world through cause and effect, and in the world of the human psyche by leaving an imprint on ourself. The Quran frequently refers to this accountability process and reminds man to comprehend the functioning of this law and to create an inner reality based on Iman, and then to develop this self through righteous deeds, Amal-e-Saleh. This will aid in recognizing the issues facing mankind as a whole and in appreciating the sphere of operation of the human intellect and its limitations. This book is one link in the chain of understanding many aspects of the human psyche and the issues faced by man with respect to his emotions, desires, intellect and consciousness during this earthly life. With the arrival of Adam on the world stage as a representative of mankind, Iblees and Shaitan also appeared alongside him as two entities representing two sides of his emotive constitution. The first two chapters cover details of the beginning of human life on earth and how the first human representative, symbolically called Adam, appeared on the world arena. Parwez has compared the Quranic perspective with the theory of evolution and with some religious concepts e.g. relating to Christianity. The book gives a detailed explanation of the metaphorical description which is given in various verses of the Quran, and this is traced from the past up to the modern human world, which helps to clarify one's own status as a human being and a creation in the visible universe possessing choice and intent. Chapters 3 to 5 deal with the descriptions of Iblees, Shaitan and Jinn. Parwez has explained these terms and what they represent in our life as humans on this earth in great detail. Metaphorically, both these entities of Iblees and Shaitan appear to stand as adversaries before Adam right from the time that he appears on the world stage. And these will remain with him until the last man on this earth leaves for the next life. Since human beings have emotions and desires, the Quran has used these two as representations of two human psychological states. Shaitan represents the impulsive and fiery side of human emotions and behavior, while Iblees manifests as the consequences of this behavior, where man falls into hopelessness and despair due to his actions in life. Both are essentially two sides of the same coin, and Parwez has discussed many other aspects of these two terms which affect both our individual and collective life in this world. The term jinn is also used in the Quran, which in the human context refers to those tribes who lived far away out of sight from the urban populations. The book also explains other contexts in which the word has appeared in the Quran, e.g. in reference to a creation inhabiting the earth before the appearance of man. Chapter 6 is on the Malaika, which is usually translated as angels. These are forces working in the universe and within the human world which carry out assigned divine tasks. The Quran enjoins on man to have iman in the Malaika, and the explanations by Parwez aid greatly in comprehending the significance of this aspect. The book also discusses the role of these forces in relation to the human psyche, which in turn then has an influence on the development of the human self. We can benefit more from our collective life once we understand the functioning of these cosmic forces which are present to facilitate our earthly life. Understanding and harnessing these known, and other not yet discovered forces, is one thing, but then utilizing the benefits gained from this for the good of the whole of mankind is another matter. For this, the Quran gives guidance. Without the guidance of the Quran, the human intellect will never use these benefits for the good of the whole of humanity. Chapter 7 discusses the topic of ruh, which is mentioned in the Quran in relation to the human self. Two aspects of this term are described here, in relation to the Malaika and in connection with the process of wahi. Chapters 8 to 10 cover the issues related to wahi, the revelation as sent to the messenger from outside, and examines the relationship between man's emotions, desires, intellect and consciousness, and his need for the guidance of wahi. The world which we find around ourselves is the creation of human intellect alone, and the problems which we grapple with every day in our life do not have to be like this. The Quran offers us its guidance, but we have to open our heart and intellect to exposure to the Quranic light. Human beings, when guided by intellect alone, will always follow the desires, which are influenced by emotions. And this will inevitably create problems, and since their solutions will be tainted by the emotions also, hence, this will lead to further problems. Parwez discusses in depth the limitation of the human intellect and its need for wahi in order to establish a system called deen, which will take care of the needs of both the physical body as well as provide a conducive environment for the needs of the development of the human self. Chapter 11 is titled Risalat and evaluates aspects of those human beings who first received wahi from the direction of Allah to then deliver it to the people around them. The responsibility of these messengers was not only to communicate the message, Wahi, but also to follow it themselves, and to teach and train those who became Momineen, and with their help to then establish a system in society based on this code of life. A number of aspects of this process are studied, including the historical perspective, what happened to the previous revealed books, the consistency of the divine revelation, and finally the completion of Wahi in the form of the Quran. Finally, chapter 12 sums up the whole of the book and is also handy for those who wish to glimpse the topics covered before venturing into the main text. The author has dealt comprehensively with all the salient points and concludes that without the guidance of the Quran, human intellect alone simply cannot solve the issues facing mankind. The decision is ours to make, and the results will emerge according to the law of requital. The longer that humanity remains away from the Quran, the longer it will remain submerged in that swamp, created by human intellect alone, enmeshed in a finite sphere of desires and emotions. It will continue to live its life based on the false assumption that human life ends with physical death, and that there is no higher purpose in life other than to satisfy its physical needs, and the desires associated with it. In order to understand the solution presented by the Quran to resolve human issues in this life, the reader can also refer to 4 other books by the author. The Quran declares emphatically that this system of deen will ultimately come to prevail in the human world. 9:33. Not as an externally imposed system against human will, but through our own choice and efforts. This is the kind of world which writers like Erich Fromm have discussed in their books, and were hoping against hope that somehow human intellect will be able to create outside the domain of Wahi, which has proved impossible. In this book I have added footnotes at some places to elaborate a point for the benefit of the reader, and these are followed by ed. Footnotes without this are to be considered as being from the author. I am profoundly grateful to my wife for her assistance in editing and revising the book. She has been a source of great encouragement and support in all the translation work. I also acknowledge the help of Mr. Asif Jalil from Karachi, Pakistan, and Mr. Fazl Kareem from Nottingham, UK, who helped to explain some of the Arabic and Urdu words used in the Urdu work. I am also grateful to Mr. Hussein Kaisrani of Tolui Islam Trust for providing support for this project. Finally, this work is a translation, and as such any ambiguity in the text in the English version which is not present in the Urdu version is my responsibility as a translator and editor, and not of the original author. If readers have any question or comment after reading this book, they are welcome to contact the Tolui Islam Trust. Dr. Ajaz Rasool, Glasgow, UK, November 2020.